Morning, I'm Gianluca Coltrinari of the University of Tuscia from Viterbo, and I'm going to present to you my work about the comparison of a whole body vibration exposure for the driver in the quarry and the farm activities. Farm tractors contribute to some of the problem for the workers' health hazards during the daily activities, because the tractors are a source of high vibration levels, especially during different operation in the farm. The same problem is present in the quarry activities during the production process, where specific machinery and vehicles are employed. The boundary condition influences strongly the exposure, for example, the ground conditions. Another example is the loud LHD, load haul dump vehicles, that represent a specific potential dangerous source of hazard health human, due to many factors, because during the travel the driver is exposed to high-level vibration generated by rogue terrain, heavy loading and haul travels. The whole body vibration is characterized by multiple shocks that can generate negative effects on the lumbar spine of the drivers. The same problem is present in the farm activities, where the use of different equipment for the tractors affect whole body vibration exposure and generate high-level vibration that can lead to negative effects on the workers' health. Various studies confirm that the long-term whole body vibration exposure can generate negative effects, and particularly a low back pain of the driver. The effect of the whole body vibration exposure are different. For example, fatigue, lower back pain, problem to the spinal region, vision problems, and many other negative effects. In particular, the exposure effects depend to many factors: magnitude of the waveform, the driver's position, the ground condition in the farm and in the quarry, the worker's anthropometric characteristics, and the exposure time for the occupant during the daily activities, the types of vehicle, the speed of vehicles inside the quarry site or in the farm. But the most relevant problem is that enough epidemiological evidence to outline a clear relationship there is not yet, and the health disorders are not connected to the real exposure of the driver. In order to assess the whole body vibration exposure, the international standard shows the measure methods and indicates a health caution zone for a definite time. The time is defined by 8 hours, and furthermore, it's necessary to point out that low back disorders are generated in the particular context of the farm for the ground condition, and in the quarry side also for the same problem, the ground condition. This fact is very important because the highest level of the vertical vibration for values more of 0.5 meters per second can generate relevant disorders. In this paper, we have realized the two different campaigns. The first one was realized in limestone quarry 100 far away from Rome, and the measurement of whole body vibration were realized on the 4 different typical quarry machineries. The first one excavator, the second one jeep, the third puncher machine, and load haul dump truck. In the second measurement campaign, the same measurements were realized in the university in a specific farm with the same border condition on different types of tractors, New Holland, John Deere, and another type of New Holland tractor. The vibration data were measured on the driver's seat. The instrument was fixed on the driver's seat and fixed by snap. The instrument is fixed along a specific direction X, Y, and Z, and the sampling frequency and the range measurement were defined before the start of the measurement. The parameter that represent the exposure for the drivers is reported in the following picture, and it's defined by the specific exposure standard international, and it represents the effective exposure for the drivers, and it defines the time of exposure and acceleration along the max duration height values. The values of acceleration are corrected by a constant factor 1.4, and we can see here the result for each machinery. First one, the pensioner machinery. We can see here the time history with the relative frequency spectrum, and we can see here the effects of the digging holes operation. For the excavator, we can see the same graphs, time history and frequency spectrum with the phase of engine power regime minimum. Load haul dump truck, time history and frequency spectrum. We can see here, loading material, dumping material, and the effect of load of a big rock on the dump. Another effects, we can see here the same effects for the tractor John Deere in the farm measurement campaign. This is the time history of the operation cut of greenery and the relative effects of the hard plant and the frequency spectrum. At the same time, we can see here the time history of the tractor John Deere during a tillage operation and the frequency spectrum. And finally, we can see that during the measurement campaign, we can see that the vertical vibration is the direction that dominates all the measurements. This result has been attained for the tractors and for all the vehicles in the quarry site. The instantaneous peak acceleration and the dominant frequency are defined in a specific range of values. Particularly, the dominant frequency are starting from 1.3 Hz until 6 Hz for the tracks. For the tractors measurement and for the quarry vehicles measurement. Field data collection occurred in both experimental campaigns shows many similar results. It's necessary to point out that for both measurement campaigns the boundary conditions are similar, but for the tractors the specific task influence strongly the real whole body vibration exposure for the driver. The measurement was repeated for the same driver on the different vehicles in the measurement campaign of the quarry site and in the farm measurement campaign, and the exposure dose values is influenced strongly, but the time exposure and the signal of and the intensity of vibration signal of each vehicle for the tractors and for machinery vehicles. Furthermore, we can see that as above that the tractor's exposure is strongly influenced by the specific task, And in order to reduce the whole body vibration exposure for the drivers, we can think about change the machinery and scheduling the drivers' activities with extra pauses in order to reduce the effective time exposure. Thank you for your attention.